Hello, and welcome to the world premiere of Bear With Me, a polar bear in Scotland, from the team who brought you the 2018 cult hit, A Space Gecko Project. The Space Gecko Project. And now, welcoming to the stage at a combined weight of under one adult polar bear, illustrator Lewis Gillies, musician Grant Robertson, and poet Stuart Kenny. Flattering introduction, which I definitely didn't do myself. Baby bear. I know you probably can't hear me in there, but my name is Arty, or Artaeus McMahon. I guess you'll probably just know me as Dad. I'm actually Artaeus the 19th. You'll be Artaeus the 20th. Your great-great-granddad's grandson Keith's great-great-granddad was the launching pad for the name, so you've him to blame if you don't like it. The name might sound a bit grand, but we're a normal family. We live off the land, struggle to tan, and learn to swim with armbands, just like every other polar bear. But anyway, that's not the point of this conversation. Baby bear, your mum will tell you that sometimes I struggle with my narration. On our first date, she said that I talk tangentially, meaning I have a tendency to talk topics completely unrelated to the point on which I start. I was ready to launch into a defense with all my heart, but then a seal went by on a unicycle, and my argument sort of fell apart. The seal actually fell off the bike and broke his arm. We might have eaten him, but there's a culinary rule that's sort of unspoken. You should never consume a seal if the seal is broken. Me and your mum, beautiful Britta, we watched the glacier slide that day. That view, we watched a wild sheet of white wipe away our blues. My fur all fluffed and threaded beneath her paws. It's amazing how something so substantial can go unnoticed by the world. Like it's not happening at all. Baby bear, you're gonna be born into the world soon, and you're gonna have so much to learn. To tell friend from food from foe, to pause before raising paws and make polar bear angels in the snow. To know that claws don't have to be clenched or fangs ferocious. Make each I love you mean I love you. Don't just go through the motions. Baby bear, when you grow up, I hope you don't have a care. But you're gonna learn too quickly that life is not always fair. You're not fully formed yet. And some days I don't think I am either, but I've been working like Brian the Beaver, really great guy, will do you a conservatory at a top price. I've been working like Brian the Beaver to keep you and your mother safe. I used to think I knew this place, like the back of my hand. But how well do people really know the back of their hand? Mine is under fur. It dampens and dries. The ruffles change with the wind that goes by. I've never seen the flesh beneath the weight. I used to think I knew this place. Baby bear, I've always said that I stand for what I stand on. That my resolve is as strong as the Arctic ice, but lately, that ice has been too thin to walk on. Baby bear, if there was another way, if I could have stayed, I would, but this place is killing us, there is no food. If I could have stayed, if I could have come, I would, but the ice is melting, the fish are gone. There is no food. Baby bear, you need to know that this was the last resort. It was always my plan to read the bad behavior on your school report. I wanted to coach the little polar bear football club and watch you grow to a bear from a cub, but baby bear, I can barely bear this, but it's the only way. So bear with me. And look after your mother. I know that she'll keep you safe. I love her. I love you more than I can say. Baby bear, don't go. When you grow up, I hope you don't have a care. Baby bear, don't go. When you grow up, I won't be there. But you're gonna travel across the ocean on the last ice float. And when you grow, you won't remember the snow or the only land we've ever known. But you'll grow up in the hills of Scotland and you'll learn to call them home. They say they have thistles as sharp as your mother's wit, hills as wide as her heart, and water as pure as her soul. That it's not barren, like it is so close to the poles. That they have thistles as sharp as your mother's wit, hills as wide as her heart, and water as pure as her soul. And if that's even half true, you'll be fine, and I will know. Don't go. It's the only way. Don't go. If I come with you, the ice float will break. Don't go. It can only carry one of us. It can only carry you both. I can't raise him on my own. Yes, you can. You've always been the strong one. Just make sure that he knows how much I loved him, how much I loved you. Just make sure that he knows. If there ever was another way, I never would have let you go. It's two sets of fumbling fingers let fall a pair they know so well. A set of eyes so often locked sets their gaze on the other's stare. Two gulps and one embrace shows how much they care. An ice float breaks for Scotland without a second left to spare. Their kiss a cursed perfection, a stretch of passion, love, and prayer may be the last they ever share. They take a breath once the ice is broken, but they can't seem to find the air. 3.5 polar bear years later. Things are largely fine here, as long as you don't look too closely. The Loch Ness Monster moved to London recently in the hopes of furthering his career. He was last spotted in a pond in Clapham Common, struggling to set up a single bed he bought at IKEA. But the haggis are back, reintroduced in several regions, which I think is a nice idea. Still, some species prosper more than others in this ecological arena. It's a little known fact, for example, that all Highland cows are now paid for by the Scottish Tourist Board to stand on top of hills and stick their tongues out so they look all silly and cute, waving their hair around in a postcard salute. They get 1 bucket of cattle feed for every time they're spotted, with additional extras on offer if someone puts their picture on Instagram with the hashtag #VisitScotland. It's for this reason that most cows now wear kilts, though many just wear a towel with tourist tartan and a sporran on it, on account of the fact that kilts are hard to clean, and cows live in fields. The upshot of all this, from the cow's perspective, at least, is not just the contract, not just the feed, but the fact that their offices tend to come with viewpoints that are terrific for people watching and eavesdropping. Not that the cows would ever engage in such discourteous behaviour, of course. To the west of the water, of the River Tay in Perth, a fisherman turns to his friend, says, "What's your net worth?" That fisherman's no richer than his friend across the berth. He says it's not about the net, it's about the way you make it work. Behind him bobs a robin, on a backwind of a breeze, fluts and flies back to the cairngorms migrating home across the North Sea. Used to get back to her tree, nip down for a neighbour, for tea. Now the homeowners are all absentee, replaced by Airbnb. Beneath them bounds a Bambi, on her paper round its speed. See, the owl who pays her wages has already guaranteed if she runs late, she'll get a few bob taken off from her receipts. It's tough to sneak away when your boss can turn his head to 170 degrees. So, head in the clouds, singing Caledonia out loud, her hooves kick up the leaves. She leaves a trail of carefree foot tracks behind her in the Cairngorm mud, dropping papers out her bag until she's down to the last one. And then, with a thud, on the inside of a treehouse, a polar bear wakes up and hears her screaming 3.5-year-old Scottish polar bear son. Mom! What have I told you about shouting in the house? We don't live in a house, we live in a tree! Well, look who's the interior design bear now, Arty. So what is it? Well, the deer have been spreading rumours, and I'm not sure if they're true. But they've asked me where I come from, and when I've said I don't have a clue, they've said that you and me are the only bears here, that the rest of our species lives on snow where there's no bagpipes or orange fizzy drinks, and it's like really freaking cold. Come on, Arty. I've told you enough for you to know. You're the first polar bear born in Scotland this century. Before this place, all you'd known was endless sheets of white and barren winter hunger. We moved you to Scotland, so you grew up somewhere sunnier. And Dad, well, he would have come if he could have done. Fact. But he loved you. And it's important that you know that. It's important to tell the people that you love them while you can. She kisses the young bear, who in pre-adolescent embarrassment squirms like a garden worm. I'm going out to play now. Okay, have fun. I love you. And he whispers the same back, though it makes his stomach run. Thank you. The grass is green, the spey bright blue, the shops are full of iron brew. I've really got no reason to be sad. My friends are here, Dora the deer. These hills are Highland Hemisphere, these swirls are whirl. We party with the stags. So when I walk up on these hills, I try to convince myself that this is enough. But how come a bear with everything he loves still finds some days so unbearably tough? They say that when the going gets tough, the tough get going. But I don't know where to go now, and I'm afraid that it's showing. I want to follow my heart, but it's beneath all this fluff, reflection locked in a lock. I try to convince myself that this is enough.
Just took off in the morning, didn't tell her parents, and left her phones behind. Lived off the earth, spread the stars across the skies, and gave the sun a reason to rise.
And so I'm wandering these hills, trying to find myself the meaning of life. But I'm not sure how I can do that if I just stick to my little slice. I've started getting all worried that I should be in a hurry. Some days my life feels more monotonous than the voice of Andy Murray. See, I want to see the sea. I don't want my life to just pass. The water calls to me, like houseplants call to the middle class. I want to climb a summit or summit. I want to go bungee jumping. Want to find something to fall for and whisper sweet nothings. Be warm and happy together. Like a couple of dumplings. Yeah, funny looking for sure, but full of flavour and stuffing.
What if we just took off in the morning, didn't tell our parents, and left our phones behind? Led off the earth, spread the stars across the skies, and gave the sun a reason.
These hills to me
to
say
rise.
safety, but this same old is getting old. And I'm still young, so I still dream of summer sun and Arctic snow. I know a boat is safest in the harbour, but that's not what boats are for. So someone let loose the anchor. Let's say goodbye to the shore. Like the sun on his travels, I'll be travelling light. I'm gonna go to the Big Apple and take a big bite. I'll take up poetry in Paris and smoke in basements through the night. But I'll give England a miss, cause Mum has told me that it's shy. Usually a bit busy this time of year, I think.
The north is quite underfunded, so like the transport.
Worried I was on Guy Fawkes's side?
I'm scared of Morris dancers.
I know I've got it good, but I don't want to just have to dream of all the life that I could have had, of all the things that could have been. And sometimes it feels as though this nation is on an inferiority complex, stuck between overconfidence and inferiority complex. But now I've eaten these foods and I've seen all these views for so long that all the greens started giving me blues. Even on the days when I sit amongst the greenest of grass, can't help but fear in a future where I'm regretting my past.
What if we just took off in the morning, didn't tell our parents, and left our phones behind? Led off the earth, spread the stars across the skies, and gave the sun a reason to...
I'm just a boy trying my best. My heart's a mess, my home no less. When I'm so stressed, I must confess, I find it hard to care about the rest. I find it hard to care about the rest. I'm just a boy trying my best. My heart's a mess, my head no less. When I'm so stressed, I must confess, find it hard to care about the rest. Find it hard to care about the rest. Wondering if wanderlust is just another excuse for the guilt of wanting to leave. Arty throws away the feeling, but he knows that it'll come back like a boomerang. He goes to play with Dora the deer until their playtime is rudely interrupted by a bang. Run, says Dora, and they do, to unfamiliar territories. Arty, I've heard rumors of these humans in old horror stories. The deers call them hunters, the foxes call them Tories. The pair agree, split up for safety. We stay with Arty, putting tracks down in fresh mud, takes twists and turns until he's lost at home. He takes a breather by a shrub and hears the crunch on boots of someone sneaking up. Silence, rustle, rustle, crow cackles above. Silence, rustle, brandishing gun, human approaching. Silence, rustle, how are we gonna get out of this one? A hand reaches into Arty's hiding spot, but wait, not hand, paw. White polar paw, not Mum's polar paw. Too small. Besides, this polar paw is clad in a leather jacket. Sealskin, not fake. This polar bear has an earring and eyeshadow. This polar bear looks great. This polar bear wears Doc Martens, a shoe made by the endemic pine marten species, and probably knows how to skate. This polar bear looks like they smoked cigarettes and skipped school. I didn't know a polar bear could be such a thing, but this polar bear is cool. Come on, come with me. We'll have fun, I promise. Another bang hits bark nearby and leaves a mark. Arty's paw takes New Bear's paw, and paw in paw they disembark. New Bear leads Arty on a winding trail through the trees until they come out of a clearing Arty can barely believe. A ship, a full-size ship, stands afloat in what must be an undiscovered offshoot of the River Spey. How's that possible? So, fancy a marvellous maritime meander? Oh, and my name's Ty. Arty says, "Hi, I'm Arty," and feels nervous, but wonders why. Isn't this what he's wanted all this time? A proper look at life. Boredom behind you like a pantomime, and besides, like everyone here knows, if Arty went home now, it wouldn't be very good value money for a spoken word show. So, up the ramp, onto the boat named the Caledonian Soul or Polar Friends go. Arty, there's just a couple of things that you should probably know. The captain is a human, and he's totally blind, but he's a nice guy, just doesn't know that his ship is crewed by vagabond animals pretending to be humans in disguise. And sure enough, the captain has 2 eye patches at that. The first mate is a moose wearing a fake moustache. The chef is a walrus in a large white hat. The chief navigator is a Mexican bat. And the captain doesn't have 2 eyelids to bat about that. Many miles away, Dora the deer trots back into a Cairngorm wildlife town and alerts Britta, Arty's mum, to the wheres, what, whys, and hows of what just happened. They launch a search party, and as a mother looks for her world, lost in the Highlands. Back on the coast, the masts unveil. The blind captain takes the wheel, and the Caledonian Soul begins to set sail.
I just realised I was tuning my guitar.
Yeah,
for
different
the song
instrument.
that doesn't use the guitar.
I did also notice that.
Oh, but when I play it next time.
Oh, yeah. Fly the flag up top flagpole, raise the mast for I get old. Pull the anchors, free the ropes, let's sail to the Arctic. Let's go out on the sea, our story's told. Cap lost his sight but found his soul. No eyes, but he's control, let's sail to the Arctic. Let's go board port on starboard. The course is north, the ice our goal. Where none dare go will be foretold. All crew aboard our merry boats. All crew aboard the Caledonian Soul. Bear on a boat trying to live life hard. Ancestral home gonna see Svalbard. It's a homecoming and he doesn't even know it. Bear on a boat trying to live life hard. Ancestral home gonna see Svalbard. It's a homecoming and he doesn't even know it. Our cast of sea dogs, bears and voles, this motley crew tough as old mole, we'll sail as one into the cold. These shifting tides are now our guide and home. All us aboard the Caledonian Soul. Thank you for that participation. Yeah. That was a good applause for yourself. Good job. I'm proud of you. Ty seeks out Arty, mulling around the crew party, looking out over the glimmering blue, says, "Hey, so what's your story? If you want to, just ignore me. Just a polar bear in Scotland? It's in the unique category. If you'll excuse the allegory, curiosity implores me, since you did just board a ship off to some random territory. So tell me, Arty, what's on your mind? What's it like back home? What did you come here to find?"
So in tune.
wish I knew the latest trends, knew high places and friends. Wish I could grow out my tail, but I've lost all my pens. I wish I knew what it meant when they said it'll all work out in the end. It'll all work out in the end.
Because the sun don't choose on who it shines. You can't stay out of the rain if it rains all the time. I'm trying to read between the lines. I need a guide, I need a sign. I only wish that I knew how to live my life.
I wish I lived life every day, not just for the weekend. Wish I could follow my scent to find some life-changing event. I wish I knew what it meant when they said it'll all work out in the end. It'll all work out in the end.
Because the sun don't choose on who it shines. You can't stay out of the rain if it rains all the time. I'm trying to read between the lines. I need a guide, I need a sign. I only wish that I knew to live my life.
Wish I knew what was said in the dreams that they've dreamt. Wish I could have a lend of a plan heaven sent. Wish I knew what they meant when they all said it'll work out in the end. Wish I knew what was said in the dreams they've all dreamt. Wish I could have a lend of a plan heaven sent. Wish I knew what they meant when they all said it'll work out in the end.
Because the sun don't choose on who it shines. You can't stay out of the rain if it rains all the time. I'm trying to read between the lines. I need a guide, I need a sign. I only wish that I knew to live my life.
Wish I knew what was said in the dreams they've all dreamt. Wish I could have a land on a plan heaven sent. Wish I knew what they meant when they all said it'll work out in the end. Wish I knew what was said in the dreams they've all dreamt. Wish I could have a land on a plan heaven sent. Wish I knew what they meant when they all said it'll work out in the end. Home is not a fact. It's a deliberately formed fiction. And that means it's alive and it grows and it can be rewritten. Arty, I used to be alone in the crowd, and that was its own sort of agony, but I found my community here. This ship is my family. Here we ride the good waves and we crash through any bad ones that get in our way. No outdated traditions or positions where money dictates living conditions. No wondering if the people in charge actually value your existence, because we're all in charge. So we all have a say. So we sail day by day out to sea being, well, whatever we want to be. Didn't like our home, so we created our own. Call it what you want. We call it the Caledonian Soul. They're going to tell you that you got to tick a box.
But you don't.
That you should care because the people are going to talk.
But you don't.
They're going to say you got to push, 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 push.
But you don't, but you don't, but you don't.
They say you got to get a 9 to 5.
But you don't.
You got to work it every week until you die.
But you don't.
They say you got to go and push, 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 push.
But you don't, but you don't, but you don't.
They'll say you gotta wear a shirt and drive a car.
But you don't.
That you gotta play the game to go far.
But you don't.
They'll say you gotta push, 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 push.
But you don't, but you don't, but you don't.
They'll say you gotta change the earth.
But you don't.
But I think you're pretty cool for what it's worth.
Yeah, I do.
They'll say you got to push, 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 push.
But you don't. You just gotta be you.
So know that you don't always have to push.
No, you don't.
And if you try, then your brain will go to mush.
Yeah, it will.
If you can go out every day and put a smile on someone's face and see the joy that you create, then you're a star. Yeah, you're a star. Yeah, you're a star. If you can radiate a little bit of light, you're gonna travel around this world and shine so bright, and all the birds and all the bees and all the people and the trees are gonna see you in the way that I can see inside of me that you're a star. And you got so much light to give, because you're a star. And you got so much light to give. Arty, this whole crew is made up of fish who felt better out the water. There's an otter who's a spotter. He came aboard as a squatter. There's a beaver who's a weaver. A bumblebee who be sneezing because he got real bad hay fever. There's a cat who used to walk in Paris. And they still got so much grace. There's even a gecko who does a poetry show about going to outer space. Hey, continuity. On this ship, we've got a barber shop, we've got bookshops, a coffee shop, and a pub. Heck, on the Caledonian Soul, we've even got a country and western club. Do you want to see who's playing? Do you want to see who's playing? Yes! Thank God. Hello, I'm Johnny Cash. Mere, the GOAT of country music. Sway! For a polar bear, there ain't no world leaders. Just a bunch of real bad boys real far away. But the water keeps on rising, and the ice caps keep downsizing, and you wonder why the tides have had to change. For a polar bear ain't no such thing as borders, just shifting shorelines where the water meets the bay. But rising seas sail boats, and polar bears ain't got no votes. They just wonder why the tides have had to change. For a polar bear, ain't no real need for oil. No big demand for that cup of coffee. But the forests keep on burning, and the drills keep on turning, and you wonder why the tides have had to change. For a polar bear, ain't no next day delivery. Ain't no flying off for business on a plane. But the storms keep on, the planets keep on storming, and the planets keep on warming. And you wonder why the tides have had to change. For a polar bear, there ain't no world leaders. Just a bunch of real bad boys real far away. But rising seas sail boats, and polar bears ain't got no boats. They just wonder why the tides have had to change. And you wonder why the tides have had to change. Thank you.
Nice. I'm just going to tune. So, I'm glad I'm the first one to make the joke, but bear with us. Got him, my shirt was away.
Hope I didn't miss anything. Just passed a goat in the corridor. If you'd only ever seen the Scottish Highlands, you'd be forgiven for thinking that God was sitting up at the top of Ben Nevis in some heavenly tartan, digging into a wee plate of haggis and admiring the heather in his back garden. If you'd only ever seen the French Alps, you'd be forgiven for thinking you were on top of the world when you reached the Mont Blanc markings. But when you got to the summit, once the sky had been darkening, and looked up at the sky, saw the stars sparkling, you'd maybe realize that actually you were no closer to those stars than you were from the floor below. And you might wonder if there was another place which could bring you closer. If you'd only ever been to Madagascar, you'd expect to see lemurs in trees all over the globe. Whereas if you'd only ever been to a specific part of Morocco, you'd be more likely to look at those trees and expect to see goats. If you'd only ever been to the cities of Brazil, you'd be forgiven for thinking that humans were born with samba and sun and rhythm in their soul. Whereas if you'd only ever been to a nightclub in Scotland, that might not be something that you know. If you'd only ever seen the glimmering vastness of Svalbard, you'd be forgiven for thinking that the whole world was snow, that every floor crunched when you walked on it, and the whole world was seismic ice flows. If you'd spent your whole life watching those glaciers retreat, and the world around you slowly go, you'd be forgiven for thinking that the whole world was melting, and it was only a matter of time until it was all of it wet. If you've ever seen any part of the world and liked what you've seen, you'd be forgiven for seeing that and feeling more than a little upset. On Svalbard, the wide white wilderness whizzes, whips, and whirls, wipes woes while waves spike, white walls rise, as far as the seeing eye. When warmth wanes, winter shivers, snow glistens, listen, and you can hear the wind and the words themselves. But at night, that wind dies, and what's left is the sharp stars sparkling over the silhouette of the mountain behind, and the moonlight splashed like spilled paint on the Barents Sea. The crew of the Caledonian Soul set up camp and spend the next 3 days doing business in the classic way that animal seafaring merchants tend to do business on Svalbard, which I shall not bore you with the details of on this particular occasion. But once the drinks have been drank and they're done singing Johnny Cash, Mere, they pack up and they're almost ready to go. Arty, not being knowledgeable about the tale of the cat and curiosity, instead heads off to explore. And he finds an old building a few miles down the shore. I am the abandoned weather station. I am the coal discovered beneath the surface, covering you slowly in a sticky layer of soot. I am the unseen kick of the tundra's boot. I am the storm, the steadfast water, crashing against the rocks, stopping supplies, keeping hope out of stock. I am the abandoned weather station. I am the torn out windows, the rusty nail protruding through the floorboard. I am the empty food store, the battered door, decades beyond creaking. Hedge the world in an unforeseen shift in behavior. The phone says technology will be our savior. I am the abandoned weather station. The question of intrinsic value, my inherent worth derived not by ecosystem but human consciousness. Our vital needs fulfilled, still we do not stop. I am the forest, worth more cut down than growing. I am the sea ice, worth more ransacked than floating. Did you know that group of polar bears is meant to be called a celebration? I am the abandoned weather station. I am the hunted animal, reduced to fur, flesh and bone, driven into the corner the light cannot reach, by a world which demands my parts, at the cost of my whole. My parts, at the cost of my whole. My parts. I am the abandoned weather station. Function now beyond recognition, position forgotten by all but an unnamed few. I am the abandoned weather station. Barren, ready and waiting to serve up my soul to the next god who occupies my walls. Feed me, feed me, feed me. The feeding can never stop. I am the abandoned weather station, the result of a shallow gut feeling, which never seems to fall. A pipe falls down in the station as Arty explores. Makes him notice a huge silhouette which has appeared in the door. Who are you? Arty? From Scotland? Arty? Scotland? And the shadow cries a tear of joy. Over the next few hours, a celebration of polar bears. A father and son meet for the first time. But, Dad, why didn't you come on another ice float or on a boat? I tried and failed 100,000 times. Then I got tired and I got old. I could only hope you survived. This isn't the Arctic I used to know. And then, sorry, thirsty work. And then, having just met his son for the first time, Arty's dad does something inexplicable. He begins to sing a blues song. 1, 2, 3. Ain't had a love to love, ain't had a hand to hold, ain't had a face to kiss, if I can be so bold. I've had a friend or two, but they ain't seen my soul. I got the coldest damn heart this side of the North Pole. Been mining fossil fuels like they were made of coal, to pay for alcohol, to drink myself real old. Ain't had no guns to hand, but I had candles of coal, and I'm the coldest damn heart this side of the North Pole. I just gave up on my life. I gave up on myself.
He gave up on life, he gave up on himself.
I couldn't find a way home. I put my life on the shelf.
He gave up on life, he gave up on his head.
But ain't no one mess with me now. Clear life is taking its toll. Out here you cannot simply thaw what has long been froze, and it's as tough as stone. I sit on grief like a throne, and it's the coldest damn hot this side of the North Pole. I sit on grief like a throne. I dreamed of seeing your eyes when you were still in the womb. I never dreamed that they'd see mine, except maybe via Zoom. I tried to get home, I always met with doom. I felt this oddish freeze, which evolved into gloom. Now I'm a broken bear, I'm a half of a whole. Out here you cannot simply thaw what has long been froze, and it's as tough as stone. I sit on grief like a throne, and I'm the coldest damn heart this side of the North Pole, and it's as tough as stone. I feel so very alone. I got the coldest damn heart this side of the North Pole. What if you don't have to thaw it here, Dad? What if the warmth is nearer than you think? I can lead a bear to water, but I can't make it drink. What if you didn't have to thaw it here? What if the warmth is nearer than you think? We have a boat bound back to Scotland. We could be there in a blink. I know a bear who'd be glad to see you, Arty says, with a wink. And with that, shoulder blades untense, eyes widen and lips part, as water begins to flood from the once unimpenetrable fortress of a polar bear's frozen heart. Dad, let's go home. It'll be you, Mum, and me. Don't be scared. I know firsthand how hard life can be with anxiety. But we could be sat in the Highlands, drinking homemade cups of tea, or drinking family whiskey. Whisk me. I wish we were home right now. It's not perfect, but it'll be better with you. Nothing's perfect, but it's better with you. I'm not perfect, but I'm better with you. Whisk me. I wish we were home. Son, let's go home. It'll be you, Mum, and me. Don't be scared. I know firsthand how hard life can be with anxiety. But your mum, she'll be worried sick. I hope you know how much she's had to give. Whisk me. I wish we were home. Home is a place, any place, where you feel like you belong. Anywhere, just as long as what matters to you, no matter how big or small, also matters to all. A kiss from a loved one that you've not seen in so long. Anywhere, just as long as what matters to you, no matter how big or small, also matters to all. A smile from a loved one that makes you feel so tall. Son, let's go home. It'll be you, your mum, and me. Don't be scared. I know firsthand how hard life can be with anxiety. I almost lost my sanity. Maybe that's why I did a blues song. The world is hard, life is tough, but we're here, both of us. So for now, let's just let that be enough. The world is hard, life is tough, but we're here, all of us. So for right now, let's just let that be enough. The day comes for the Caledonian soul to head back to Scotland. And it does, sailing through the night to re-find and rediscover, and after many years, to reunite. Is there any place so beautiful as they sing in all the songs? Any place with skies so blue and grass so green and tall? Is there any place so beautiful as they sing in all the songs? Maybe it's all in the eye of the beholder. Maybe it has been all along. And tell me, what's the difference between a place and a home? A home is warm even when it's cold. It's full of love and it's well known. It's where our hands have touched and where we never feel alone. Where we know the stories of the wood and the strength of the stone. It's where we care about what happens more than we care about what happens anywhere else. But if everywhere is home to someone or something, it makes me wonder sometimes if we spend too long thinking about ourselves. Would you have heard of the fields of Athenry if the song had been forgotten? Would you think of Alabama as sweet, or would you know of the flower of Scotland? If you'd never been to Edinburgh Castle, or your favourite part of the forest, do you think you'd still manage to care if you read in a headline that they'd been demolished? So is there any place so infinite as they sing in all the songs, where the rivers know no roadblocks and the trees don't fear they'll fall, where shoulder blades untense and no ill will is ever caused? If we're going to get our happy ending, we need a reason to stand tall. The ship arrives on the shores of Scotland, and Ty says goodbye. They'll stay at their own home, and for them, the home is the sea. Arty says, thank you, Ty, for the reminder that green grass is always green. And thank you for the reminder that the most important thing to be is to be me. The first thing that Arty notices is the bird call. Not coming from all around like a surround sound cinema, just one or two birds that he knows. Breaking the silence, talking, welcoming him back, saying, it's you, is it? In you come. The second thing that Arty notices is the weight of the world wash away and goosebumps rush from his head to his feet like a Mexican wave. He pays no attention to the Highland cow gossiping in the towel kilt on the hill above. The third thing that Arty notices is his father, standing rigid on the shoreline of Scotland. He looks up just in time to see him gulp, and notices a liquidy runway where a tear has streamed, wetting and matting his father's fur as it went. A touch of a hand from a loving son, and this father's legs start to move through the woods back home. Deep breaths, deep breaths, deep breaths, deep breaths. So two bears who share a name also share the Highland sights, the eyes of both growing wide as one inhales the air where he was born and the other breathes it in for the first time. With a heart that is 100% thawed inside, and which opens wide as he sees on the horizon a shape and a profile, two eyes and a familiar smile that he has not seen in quite a while. A love reconciled, which makes this old, battered bear feel so very juvenile. And so, they do that thing that they do in the movies, where they run to each other in a wide-angled lens. And they're back in each other's arms. With love, there's no fear, no concern, no alarm. And at last, the fur of two fumbling fingers take hold a pair they know so well. A set of eyes so often locked set their gaze on the other's stare. Two gulps and one embrace shows how much they care. Three polar bears, a celebration of a fact they've formed their own, sit atop a mountain summit as leaves and hair and blood is blown. And they watch the sunset over the cairngorms, over the hills that they call home. They watch the sun set over each other, over the family they call their own. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for coming. We'd like to thank Thank you so much. You're very, very, very kind. We've got a few quick thank yous. We'd love to thank Maria for doing the sound. She's been absolutely wonderful all day. I Am Loud Productions, and yes, big props to Maria. That's a terrible way to clap. I'd like to thank I Am Loud Productions, or Loud Poets, who have helped us out so much with the running of this show, and who run a monthly night right here, where if you want to see more poetry, you can come and do exactly that. And lastly, yes, also them. Yeah, and lastly, it's been a pleasure. Thank all of you for coming. It's Lewis Gillies illustrations, Grant Robertson musicians. Yeah. And of course we have merch, so we'll be about and we'll see you upstairs if you want to come. And also we're going to go to the pub now. So we're going to the Waverley if anyone would like to come. So thank you so much for coming, okay?
Thank you so much. Cheers.